know yet. I own my own marketing, social media, primarily social media marketing agency. So myself and a team of four manage social media accounts for various small businesses locally and across the country. Prior to that, I was with Tucker for many years in various admin roles, most recently with Tucker Home Services. I left to start my own business back in 2018, and I've been doing that ever since. So Grace, your social media strategist with FC Tucker, is also on the call. I am kind of like her support system in some areas of the social media realm. So I do these monthly workshops, which we've just switched to virtual, hoping that get some more of you able to attend that way. I know it's hard to get to the agent support center sometimes. So we're going to try out these virtual calls and see how that goes for 2025. Starting with this topic to get us kind of going, we're going to talk about trends that we're predicting for 2025, strategy in general that you should be putting into practice for social media and social media marketing for your real estate business. So, okay, before we dive into 2025, let's finish out 2024 strong. We still have a few weeks left, so let's not go dark on our social media accounts. Some tips for content to kind of keep things light in December is the best way to go. So people are kind of starting to check out. It's circle back next year time. So anything that you can do to create fun content, engaging, anything you can repurpose if you have been active on social media. Space it out when you're preparing content to post for the rest of the month. Now is not the time to be trying to do 5 posts a week and just pedal to the metal. Less is more in December. So again, that lighter, engaging content every couple days or so, especially if this is just you getting started. Now is the time to kind of ease into it. And I highly recommend scheduling in advance. So when you can sit down and batch a couple pieces of content or a couple of weeks in content in advance, that's going to be a game changer for you. Because if you're scrambling to figure out what to post the day of, it's not going to go well. So a scheduling tool that I recommend is Metricool. And I'll put that in the chat if I can figure out how to do that to everyone. There we go. Um, they have a free option for individual businesses, which would be you guys. So they have just about every platform you can imagine that you can schedule to. So that's going to obviously help you plan ahead. And then they also have some really good analytics that you can keep track of how your content is doing. So highly recommend signing up for that, giving that a try. I should note with the chat also, if you have questions as I'm going along, you want to put those in the chat. I'm going to try to leave some time at the end to answer those questions. So feel free to do that. Okay, I talked about, keeping your content light this month. What we really want to focus on to get more eyes on your content is anything that is shareable. So the more people that you can relate to in your content, the better. I'm going to say this a lot, but one thing I like to remind people is that your content isn't about you. So we need to step back from our ego a little bit and not talk so much about ourselves, but talk about things that other people, our audience, want to hear about. And of course, if you're not already taking advantage of the Tucker social media library, Grace, I'll let you put in the chat or let me know if that is available on the Tucker Toolbox yet, or if that's something that you still need to sign up for, but make sure that that's something that you're taking advantage of. It's done for you. All you have to do is schedule it, maybe tweak it to work for you.
I will
Okay,
say
so
that will be in the toolbox starting January.
perfect.
So
Okay,
it'll
so
probably be out like the last week of December. We'll probably send out an email to everybody letting them know where to find it. But January's content will be on the toolbox.
and December's has gone out, correct?
Yes, December's came out like the last week of November. So they
Okay.
already have that.
Okay, so if there's anyone, would there be anyone that doesn't have it, like they still need to sign up for it?
Possibly, if you do, you can send it in the chat if you would like to receive those, and I can get you on the list.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to just fill in the gaps for those last couple weeks. Like I said, it's done for you. There's caption templates, graphics usually, or prompts for what you can create to pair with it. So very helpful as like a launching pad if you want to get really rolling next year. So, weekly schedule that I kind of like to go by to get you started, and this is honestly the framework we use for all of our clients. Um, if you're going to post on we primarily focus on posting during the week, but it's really going to depend on when your audience is online, and we'll talk about a way to look at your analytics and find out when that is. But Sunday, Monday, early in the week, you want to keep it light. Think about the headspace that you're in, that your audience and clients are in as they're easing into a new week. Okay. They're not ready to be sold to yet. We need to do something that's going to motivate them, or inspiration could be, fun home inspiration, um, home decor, home organization, that type of stuff to keep it light. And then as we keep rolling, Tuesday, Wednesday, provide some value to your audience or find a way to relate to them. We're going to talk a lot about finding ways to relate to your audience. Think about the message that you need to hear. Somebody else might need to hear that today. So, how can we share that? And then again, midweek, Wednesday or Thursday, now sell to them. I'm never one to say, oh, you can't ever sell on social media. It's all meant to be fun because this is your business. Okay. You can't expect people to remember what you do unless you tell them. So we have to talk about it. We have, no matter how awkward it feels, you have to tell people what you do, ask them to use you, ask them to refer you, talk about your service. And then again, towards the end of the week, we're over it again. Don't want to be sold to, trying to keep it light. So Friday or Saturday, something behind the scenes, something entertaining, something to make them laugh. Anything, again, light, keeping it fun. Some general content ideas to kind of get you through the rest of this month. A popular one is local attractions and events. There's tons of stuff going on in Indy right now. So you could provide lists of, your top 5 picks. To take it one step further, what I recommend people do is put your personal spin on it. So, what's one that you are doing this month that you could share your personal experience about? Because people can find those lists of attractions anywhere, but they want to know what you're up to. They want to know your opinion on the best one to see. So, find a way to make that a little bit more personable, and it'll really take it to the next level. Again, I'm going to talk a lot about this relatable, heartfelt messages and reels. You can do a lot of this in real estate because you are working with such an emotional industry, really. So, what are some experiences that you've gone through with clients recently that you can speak to that someone else may need to hear that same message? Year-end recaps are always popular. This year, I'm thinking photo dumps. So, just pick maybe a photo from each month or every other month, put it together in one post and talk about each one, talk about highlights, the highs and the lows. You don't have to get overly personal, but make sure that you're being real and relatable at the same time. So let's see what else. Obviously, throw in some value there, tips, benefits to buying in the winter. How can people prepare their homes for listing in the winter during the holiday season? Why is it better than waiting until spring? Behind the scenes, if you're doing any client gift delivery or open house, those are times where you're kind of either in the car alone or in the open house alone getting set up. You can set up your camera, film some video of yourself, turn that into a reel, or talk to the camera reels. We're going to talk a lot about that as well. Those are going to be even more popular. So getting comfortable in front of the camera and just having a conversation with the camera is going to benefit you. So the more you practice that, the better. Holiday gift guide for new homeowners. This is a fun one. It's probably pretty easy for you guys to put together. So put a carousel post, 3 or 4 slides of some gift ideas for the new homeowner in someone's life. And you can tag stores that you get those gifts from, that kind of thing. And then always you can share client wins. If you're stuck on what else to post, you can always go back to stories from recent closings, recent deals, obviously with discretion. Talk about those testimonials. Tell a story when you're sharing those testimonials versus just copying and pasting the direct review from your client. Okay, so we're going to focus on strategy versus just posting to post because we're tired of, throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks when it comes to social media marketing. So we're going to break that down into, I think I have 6 steps here. So the first being your audience. So this is when I would kind of take notes and start jotting down your thoughts that the first thing you think, write it down when it comes to each of these points. Because this is how we're going to narrow down who you're trying to talk to in your content and what you're going to say. Your marketing messaging is what it's going to boil down to. So your audience, who exactly is your target audience? And you need to go a little bit deeper than just, oh, we're still on the cover screen. Okay. Does everyone just see the cover screen of my presentation? Oh no. Okay. Grace, any ideas? How about now?
Still just the cover screen.
Okay.
I'm wondering if it's like frozen because you're using multiple screens.
Could be. Okay, let me try to get out. Let me try to pull that out, see what happens.
There we go.
Oh, well, that's a bummer. You
Sad.
don't love my 2 screens. Okay. So I've just been yakking while you guys, this is recorded, but if you, what I'll do at the end is if you want to go back, it's really just been these 2 so far. So if you want to go back and take pictures of these, I'll bring them back up at the end. We're only on slide 3, so thank you for letting me know. Now I won't be able to see the chat. So Grace, if there's anything I need to know, will you pop in here?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so for your audience, who are you talking to that needs to go deeper than just someone looking to buy or sell a home? Okay, we need to get specific. It can be multiple client personas, but is it a first-time home buyer with a young family who's been renting for years and has student debt? Like I'm talking like get specific. And that's going to help you figure out what they need to hear, what you need to be saying to them in your messaging. And then your content. What type of content are you willing to create? If you are not going to make 3, 4 video reels a week, I get it. That's fine. It's not attainable for everyone. So what can you share? A mix of photo and video. Maybe your goal be 1 reel a week, 1 TikTok a week, whatever that may be. Get specific with the type of content you're willing to create. I will say, and we'll talk about this more when we get to trends for next year, video isn't going anywhere. I mean, it's been years now that it's been on the rise, and short form video is just going to continue to grow. So I recommend you get comfortable with that. But it's not to say you can't post photos and you can't post carousels on Instagram. Like those are still working, and Instagram has said that they're going to keep pushing photos because that's what the app was intended for. Facebook as well. So we'll talk more about what type of content for each platform specifically, but I just want you to be thinking about what you're willing to do, what is attainable for you. And then platforms that you want to be on, that you want to focus on in 2025. I always tell people it's better to be really good at just a couple than stretch yourself too thin on all of them. So if you've been on Facebook and Instagram and this year you want to add LinkedIn, that's great. Or maybe you haven't been active anywhere, so you just need a goal of I'm going to post on Instagram and that's it. And maybe repurpose that to Facebook. Perfect. Decide what's going to work for you, what's going to help you be consistent, and just stick with that. And most importantly, where is your audience? So again, from number 1, think about those people that we want to talk to. Where are they? Looking at 2025 trends, YouTube is where Gen Z, that is their platform of choice, closely followed by TikTok, of course. There's still buzz of whether or not TikTok is going to be banned. We're just rolling with it unless we're told otherwise. Because this time last year, there was also buzz about that. So I would say keep posting until you can't. And then Instagram and Facebook are obviously still pretty high up on the list of where people are. Facebook is the older generation. There's no like nice way of me saying that. And Instagram's kind of somewhere in the middle. So think about that as you're planning what platforms you want to be on. LinkedIn is really going to see a shift in 2025 that I'm excited about because it's becoming more of a creator platform versus just strictly resumes business. And I mean that in a good way. It's a platform that you can now be more creative on versus just posting strictly boring business things. Okay, so number 4, your schedule. When will I post? When are my ideal times? We have to look at analytics to find that out. I talked about signing up for a scheduling tool in order to batch your content. So make sure you're doing that to help with the schedule so you stay consistent. So figuring out when you'll post. I'll scroll back here quickly so you can see that. This was the weekly schedule that I was talking about. So I would pick, if you're just starting out, haven't been posting consistently at all, I would pick 2 to 3 of those days that you can be consistent with and get in that habit. The sweet spot that we do for clients posting wise is 3 to 4 posts a week is our average. It's typically always going to be 4 posts a week. On holiday weeks or weeks where there's just going to be less engagement, say there's something happening on a national or global level, there's going to be less engagement on social media during those times. So we will bump it down to 3, but typically we're averaging 3 to 4. That is where you'll see the most movement. If that's not doable for you, be consistent with 2 to 3 and see how that works. We have some consulting clients where they post 1 to 2 times a week just because they are in maintenance mode, not so much trying to grow. And that works for them because, again, they are consistent, which is more important because people get used to seeing their weekly post and remember them by seeing that. So that's a long-winded way of saying when you post really is up to you. When you're thinking about what days of the week, typically we find with clients that Friday through Sunday has the least engagement. People are kind of checked out, especially when it comes to seeing business-related content, not really into it. So we find posting Monday through Thursday gets the best results. Now, that could be different for you. So I always encourage people to experiment. Try posting Monday through Thursday, track how that goes, and then try posting a couple times on the weekend and see if you notice a difference. We always notice a drastic dip if we post on a Friday versus Monday through Thursday. So just something to think about. And then time of day that you're going to post is going to depend on your audience and when they're online, but typically it's just during waking hours. Just don't post at 3 a.m. and you should be good. Between 8 a.m. and I'd say 6 p.m. is usually the best time. Content is circulating longer. So if you post at 6 p.m. one day, people are still going to be seeing it the next day, if that makes sense. So it's not going to make or break your content. If your content is good, it doesn't really matter when between that 8 and 6 that you post, the algorithm will push it out if it's good. Okay, your purpose. Why are you even on social media? Are you just doing it because that's what you think you have to do and everybody else is doing it? What does success look like for you? I don't want you posting if there's no goal in mind of, okay, this is working. I'm seeing a difference. You're putting time and effort into this. So I would like you to see some kind of attainable result from it. So whether that's getting a new lead a month or whatever that may be, connecting with someone once a month, think about something attainable and set that goal. And then content buckets or content pillars. It's just another way to kind of categorize your content. So, what areas, what topics will you focus on so that you're not just all across the board with what you're posting? Because we want people to expect something from your content. They get familiar with your content. Um, Obviously, real estate is going to be one of those. If you're comfortable sharing some of your personal life, again, I never want you to air your dirty laundry or anything, but people, especially in this business, want to get to know you. And social media is that, it's social. So, is there something in your other areas of your life that you could connect with people on that they can relate to? So, think about that. And then, most importantly, we're going to really need to get down into your marketing messaging. What the heck are we trying to say to people? How are we going to get across to them what we're trying to say? And these are just kind of my thoughts on that. So, the impact of your content is defined by how people feel when they see your content. So, again, it's not about you. It's not about how good you are at real estate. It's about getting this message across to people that's going to resonate with them and get them to do something, to take action. I talk about this a lot. There is the old marketing rule of seven, where people have to, back in the day, people had to see a message 7 times in order to take action. And now it's more like 77 times that people, because we are being hit with so much information, so much advertisement on a daily basis. And people aren't, especially in real estate, aren't ready the first time they see your message. So you have to keep reminding them. It feels to you like you are just a broken record, but there is nothing too basic that you could teach people about real estate, and you cannot share enough times that you are in real estate. So we need to think about how we're going to get that message across to people we're trying to reach. Again, content is about them, not you. So focus on benefits of working with you and not features. So not as much what you do, but why that is important to the people that you're working with. So that's just an example of that I have there. So just think about all the things in general that you do as a real estate agent. Why should people care? How is it going to change their life? Okay, so as you're mapping out the strategy that we just talked about, a couple things that I want you to do. Some research into those areas that we just talked about, like the type of client that you want to speak to specifically, where those people are on social media, what messaging they're wanting to hear, what reminders they need on a daily basis. And then if you have been active posting on social media, and I say active, that can vary from person to person. If you have posted several times a month in the last 3 to 6 months consistently, you should be able to go back to that content and tell what's working and what's not by looking at analytics. And analytics, I want you to focus most on reach and engagement. Those are the biggest numbers. So Instagram, for example, has pretty easy analytics to look at if you go to your business tools. And that can tell you on each specific post what had the most reach, what had the most engagement. Recreate content like that. Okay. And if you haven't been active, a lot of this is going to be blanks on, like the best time to post, that kind of thing, until you just start trying it and then going back and tracking what works and what doesn't. So experiment with those different times a day, different days of the week that you post, and you'll notice a pattern once you get consistent. So 2025, I feel, is going to be less about trend chasing and more about originality. So it used to be like we just scroll TikTok, scroll Reels, find out what trend was going right now and recreate that for clients. And that's what I would recommend you do. But that's getting kind of boring. So it's good and bad because you have to be a little bit more original. You got to come up with some original thoughts. But it's great because you don't have to do what everybody else is doing and just hop on the latest trend. So unique content is going to be the best. If you can find ways to stand out, find ways to just be you, uniquely you, and a variety of content. So again, don't let go of photos just because video is huge. Photos are still working. Graphics, you have to be a little bit more creative with your graphics, and we'll talk about that here in a minute too. But you don't have to let go of them completely. So don't quit your Canva account. But we do have to find ways to make those graphics a little bit more engaging. And then stay on brand. So again, when someone sees your content, we want them to immediately think that's so and so. I recognize it anywhere, right? So get consistent and across all channels. So not just on social media, but if you're already doing email marketing, for instance, repurpose your email marketing and make sure that it looks consistent on your social media. Okay. Um, some common mistakes that I see when people implement these strategies. So inconsistency is going to kill you on this social media strategy. So if you leave here super motivated, make a post today, make a post every day, the rest of the week, the month, and then next year think, okay, that burned me out. I didn't enjoy that at all. I didn't feel like I made any progress, and then just quit. You just wasted those couple of weeks of going really intense. So your reach and engagement are going to suffer more if you go really hard and then just stop. So that's why I tell you to pick a more attainable, more realistic goal as far as how often you're going to show up on social media. So let's take Instagram, for example. If you think you can be more consistent with stories and do that 3 or 4 times a week and then post to your feed once or twice, then let's write down that goal and stick with that consistency piece. It's much more important than frequency of posting. I preach quality over quantity. There's some social media gurus out there that say it doesn't matter, you just have to post a million times a day and keep posting. If you are a content creator, influencer, then maybe, but you are a realtor, so you have homes to sell. So to be realistic with what we can do here. And then again, I already mentioned this, but focusing too much on trends. So most importantly, we don't want to just look at what someone else is doing and copy it and do the exact same thing. But it is good to be active on social media so that you know what is working and you know what people are consuming. So scroll for inspiration, that's totally fine. Just don't get too hung up on trying to do exactly what everyone else is doing. Okay, so here's where I'm going to hurt some feelings because just posting your new listings, pendings, and solds in the forms of graphics, that's not a strategy for social media marketing. So this, there's a place for it, but this is not all we should be posting because again, this kind of comes from the it kind of comes from a place of ego where it's like, look at me, look what I do, look what I've done, which is okay. Like we have to talk about ourselves and what we do sometimes, but why should anyone care other than just seeing that you're actively selling? That's fair. But we need to mix some content in that is for your audience. And I'm just curious if you look at, even if you haven't been posting those, but if you know real estate companies that do post those frequently, what kind of reach and engagement are they really getting? Now, if you get a new listing, you've got to market the property itself, but there's more creative ways than just a new listing graphic. Okay, so we could do a walkthrough reel where you tour the property and point out some highlight features. Just to give an example, and I'll see if I can pull up the video and maybe send the link in the chat. There was a reel going viral recently, a realtor in her new listing. You may have seen it, and she's showing all the places in her new listing to play hide and seek, like all the best hiding places in her new listing. It got me hooked from 3 seconds in. So different, so unique. Think about that compared to just posting a new listing graphic. Like, which is more worth your time and effort to get people to pay attention? So we need to be thinking up content like that that's going to, you don't have to be that extreme, but it's something to entertain your audience, um, relate to people, make them feel like you understand them, they feel heard, they feel seen. Most importantly, spark them to share it with someone else. Shares and saves on specifically Instagram, Facebook, those kinds of platforms are huge. The algorithm sees that there's a lot of that happening. They're going to keep pushing it out to more people. It's more eyes on your content. So, and then we're still doing call to actions on our posts as well, which encourages people to engage. So ask them to comment something, ask them to share it, ask them to do something. We need some kind of action to come from the content we're posting. Okay, so let's talk about some trend predictions for 2025. This one's kind of obvious and don't shoot the messenger, but short form video will continue to dominate. More so, I feel the talking to the camera reels, and you probably know what I'm talking about. And if it's not something you love, just practice. That's the best tip I can give you to get comfortable with that. You guys, it's so easy to talk to someone one-on-one. So I recommend just acting like you're doing that, like you're talking to your phone, just like you're having coffee with someone. We sometimes even have Zoom calls with our clients. So if they're struggling to record a talking to the camera reel for us, we will get on a Zoom call, record that Zoom call of them just talking to us. So if it's easier for you to do that, talk to someone and they just happen to be recording, then do that. There's lots more AI tools for better or worse. I'm not saying that these are all good predictions, but there's going to be a lot more AI usage for copy, content, your lead capture. So some of those are good things, but I will talk about, I think on the next slide, I mentioned we need to not be overusing those AI tools because it's obvious and it's not good. So it's okay to use that as a launching pad if you need somewhere to get started. We actually have a whole workshop on ChatGPT for realtors. We'll probably do it again if you've missed it. So there's a way to use it though where we're not copying and pasting, right? So people are able to tell if you do that and it's not worth your time. So let's see what else. Oh, your call to actions that I mentioned on the last slide need to be simpler than ever. People don't want to take multiple steps. If you are trying to get them to leave the app they're in, we have to make it as simple as possible. So there's ManyChat you can set up where people can be as lazy as just commenting a word and the direct link to whatever you're trying to get them will be sent to them, just like that. So whatever you're trying to get them to do, whether it's book an appointment, sign up for your email list, whatever that action is you want them to take, needs to be really, really easy. And that is just because we are overwhelmed. We are all a little bit lazy when we're on social media. So we're not trying to, people just aren't going out of their way to do things. So it's harder than ever to get people to take those actions that we're trying to get them to take. Diversifying what you post where. So repurposing for different platforms is great, but you have to optimize it for the different platforms. So that could be as simple as Facebook versus Instagram have different image sizes. So making sure you make those critiques, studying what works on what platforms that you've decided to be on. But I do encourage repurposing that content. It just needs to have those little tweaks. Make sure you're not posting links in the captions of your Instagram posts. Those aren't clickable. Just little things like that. More storytelling, less corporate scripting. So again, less AI type captions and more authenticity, more talking to people on a real personal level. Again, like you're just having coffee with them. This is just the simplest example. I think I already shared it, but instead of sharing your client testimonial word for word, tell the story about how you helped them in the deal. Okay, again, we don't want to divulge information we shouldn't, but use your best judgment on telling the story of how you helped them get to where they are and the emotions involved. Really tap into that versus just here's the closing photo and here's their copy and pasted review from Zillow. And then outbound engagement, that's something that I think I mentioned on another slide here as well. It still matters a lot because, first of all, hashtags are changing a little bit. You should still be using hashtags. I'll just note that. It helps categorize your content, but they're going to be a little bit different in 2025. So, the greatest way for you to be seen by other accounts, new accounts that you're trying to find, basically, and you want people to find you, is to be in the comment section of other accounts. So we have a person on our team, for example, who just does engagement for our full service management clients. So they spend time every day commenting on other accounts' content so that the people that follow those accounts now see us in the comment section. Does that make sense? I have a full guide on the best way to do outbound engagement and get the most out of your time, because that is one thing that you can't cheat the time. You have to spend the time doing it. But we usually break it into like 20-minute segments so you get the most out of it. And I have a guide that tells you exactly how to do that. So if you want that, let me know. I can send you the link. So authenticity and transparency, I've hit on this a lot, but it's so important. It's going to be even more important in 2025 because people are just sick of seeing the general boring salesy posts. We want social to get back to social. So people are favoring working with companies and individuals, realtors, of course, who are just down to earth on a real level, sharing their success, their challenges, their processes, what it's like to really work with you. People want to know that versus just, okay, they can help me buy and sell a home, but how? What does that look like? How do we get there? How will it feel? Will it be hard? Like just answer those questions for people that they don't even know they have. Gen Z buyers, they're beginning to enter the home buying market. So shift your strategy to include some of their preferences. And again, I mentioned those platforms that they are on. So if that is a generation that you're wanting to focus on your marketing, you may want to get into YouTube a little bit more, YouTube Shorts. And again, you can repurpose a lot of content if you're doing Reels on Instagram, repurpose those for TikTok and for YouTube Shorts. It doesn't have to be hard. Okay, so some things that are currently working. Talking about things early because things are circulating longer, especially if it's good content and especially if it's Reels or TikToks. Video in general circulates longer. So now is really the time to start talking about, well, January is the time to start talking about the spring market. Halloween was the time to start talking about holidays. Like this is how social media works. The earlier you start talking about it, the longer it's going to circulate, especially with, I know I said to stay, you don't have to focus on trends, but trends in general, if you catch them early, will circulate longer. So just kind of think about that mindset. And I already mentioned this like 5 times, but talk to the camera videos. I'm just preparing you for that. And localized content. So especially in this industry, there are so many people you can reach just locally. And collaboration is something that's going to be huge on Meta platforms in 2025. So I'm always preaching to realtors, if you have a vendor that you love and they are active on social media, or they're willing to be, and you can do some collaboration, whether it's a series or a one-time post, you will find so much success from that. Because if they have any amount of followers, it's beneficial for you and vice versa. So if you can recommend like a house painter or, I working with home services, I can think of a lot of these type of vendors who I know are active on social media and would love to do some sort of collaborative content with you. That's working really well and is going to continue to work. So think about ways you can do that. And it takes like half the load off your plate, right? If you get together with someone else and do the content together. So what's not working? Overusing ChatGPT. So again, I saw a post yesterday that was like 3 giveaways that it's a ChatGPT caption. And I'm like, yep. Just copying and pasting isn't going to do it. Because again, it's harder and harder to get across to people as it is. Using AI captions is only going to make that harder because it's not personal. Um, and like I said, people can tell, and it just doesn't sound good. So again, put something in Chat GPT, ask them to reword it a couple times, and then paraphrase it to make it your own so that it's not, I know that's a few extra steps, but it still gives you the help to kind of get where you're going without sounding too cheesy, too fake. Holiday graphics just aren't gonna really do what you want them to. So we've gotten away with clients from posting just like Merry Christmas. There's some clients that it works for the majority. If we can use their faces instead of a holiday graphic, like if that works for them, we're going to choose that. So what I'm saying here is put your face up on your social media over something like a holiday graphic that says Happy New Year. Because other than just saying Merry Christmas, that doesn't really do anything for your audience. They're just going to look at it and scroll by. But if you share a family photo and ask people what their favorite Christmas tradition is, like get them involved and give them a peek into your world, that's going to make a much bigger impact than just posting a Canva Merry Christmas graphic. So just think about ways you can tweak content like that in 2025 to make it more personal. And passive content, so this is kind of the same thing. It goes with those holiday graphics, essentially content that people see, they read, and then they're left thinking, okay, and then just keeps like, I don't know what to do with that. There's no action asked of me. I'm not inspired to do, you know what I mean? There's no action to take. So that's it, you're going to waste your time doing stuff like that. So that can be as simple as adding those call to actions and making sure that in each post you can ask a question. When you ask those questions and call to actions, I always say make them very general so that anybody reading your content can answer, and it's a simple question to answer. Like, do you like hot chocolate? Yes or no? That kind of simple. Okay. And over promotional content isn't working. So we've talked about this. We're just tired of being sold to all the time. So I'm not saying you need to promote yourself still, but we just need to find more personal, more creative ways to do that. And video SEO is huge. So any way that you can optimize your video content to have those keywords that you're trying to get out there. So really, this isn't just video. SEO in general for all your content is huge so that the platforms can categorize your content and know who to show it to. So that's why I still feel that hashtags are relevant, because Instagram Meta, for example, says we use hashtags to categorize your content. So they're changing it so that you won't be able to follow hashtags anymore. That was the rumor. They may be going back on that. Because you used to be able to search a hashtag, find everyone that's used that hashtag, all the content, and you could find new people that way. It's going to be a little bit different if they go through with that. But it still tells the algorithm what my content is about. So when you're using those keywords and you're using those hashtags, don't just throw in whatever. It needs to relate to the specific piece of content that you're creating. So if it's about real estate, use all the local real estate, all the general real estate hashtags. Perfect. If it's about an event happening in Indy that you're going to, use specific hashtags for that. Use all the local Indy hashtags, holiday event hashtags, things like that, so the algorithm knows what your content is about. And this bullet point was to show that that goes for video content as well. So just a couple of things to remember. Social media is meant to be social. So at the end of the day, that's what we want our focus to be: less selling, more connecting with people and relating. I'm going to say that 5 more times. Relate to your audience as much as possible. It will make a world of difference. Again, the simplest way I can say to get in that mindset is think to yourself, what do I need to hear today? Or when I was buying or selling a home, what reminders did I need? What message did I need to hear to get through it? Your clients need to hear that too. So put yourself in their shoes and write your content from their perspective. And use social media as networking. I talked about that outbound engagement. That's what a lot of that is you're just trying to make new connections, just like you would at a networking event. You're trying to meet new people and connect. Okay, so some bonus tips. We want to obviously maximize our time spent here because we don't have a lot of it to spare on social media. Don't want to be wasting our time. So you do not have to come up with a new piece of content every day for the rest of your life. You're welcome. This is not, it does not have to be that hard. Whatever message you shared a couple months ago, people have forgotten, they have never saw it the first time, or they need to be reminded again. So repurpose, repurpose, repurpose. You can take a caption you've used before, ask ChatGPT to reword it for you, and then of course make your own tweaks. You can copy and paste a caption from 6 months ago and use a different image or a different video with it. No one will know. No one will care. No one will call you out on it. And if they do, who cares? This is how we survive. So especially that content that's working, you should absolutely be doing it again, using it again, to reach more people. You're going to reach new people each time, right? Or again, people forget. People don't think about your content as much as you do. So just you got to get out of your own head with that. And then make sure you're posting to a business account so that you can track your progress. I think, Grace, I don't want to speak for you, but I think there is a video tutorial or something like that that shows you how to create business accounts or switch your personal Instagram to a business Instagram if you're okay with that, because you don't have to create an entirely new one. You can just switch what you already have, start posting to it, start tracking your insights that way.
Yes, we do have that, and it's on YouTube, the Tucker Training YouTube.
Perfect. A lot. I think there's a lot of little, if you need help with little things like that, check out the
Some
Tucker
of
Tree.
them might be a little dated if stuff is updated, the apps have updated, moved stuff around. But if it is, just let me know and I can create another one and post it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So check those out if you have some questions on like, but how do I do this? How do I make a business Facebook page? That kind of stuff. Check those out first. And again, once you have that business account that you're posting to, you'll be able to track your insights and see what's working, what's not, what needs, what maybe just needs one or two little tweaks. And then spend time engaging. I talked about this a lot. The last slide, I have a QR code to my website or email list. It's an email list. I don't send out emails. So I promise you're literally just getting my free engagement guide if you sign up for it. um, so if you want that guide on how to maximize your 20 minutes 3 times a week, 4 times a week, whatever that is, to engage, because our client, I never recommend a social media management packet that doesn't include engagement, because if you're just posting and then you're not even active on the app, you are not going to see results that you're wanting. You got to give a little to get. So make sure you're spending some time doing outbound engagement. Again, just what's doable for you, but something is better than nothing. Research that just, again, we're not copying, but we're getting inspired. So find out if you are not the type that just has all these creative ideas flowing at all times, scroll. I'm giving you permission to make scrolling your job now, because you're going to research what some larger accounts are doing, what messages they're sharing, what's working for them, and tweak it for your own business, just to at least come up with some concepts. Okay, so that's my little QR code if you want that engagement guide. But I am going to, okay, see if I can do this at the same time. Did that go away? Did my screen go away?
Your
Okay,
screen's still up, so you're good.
okay. All right, thank you. I'm reading the chat now. Okay, so we did get a couple questions in advance that I want to make sure we hit on. And then if you guys have more, have I missed any questions? I'm scanning quickly. I don't think so.
I didn't see any. I don't know if you got any sent to just you, but
Okay.
there's none in the overall group chat.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I think I hit on a couple of these in the presentation itself, but talking about the different platforms you want to be on, we're talking about the age groups, who is where. So again, YouTube and TikTok are the top two for Gen Z. Um, Instagram, kind of in order of like youngest to oldest, is YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And then LinkedIn is a wide range because that's all professional ages. Um, and I think we're going to do a workshop just on LinkedIn because it's going to change so much in 2025. It already has changed so much as far as what to post there and content you can create for that. And then there's other X, if you're still there, Threads, those are kind of lumped in. Threads is lumped in with Meta now. So that's kind of a mix of age groups as well, but more on the older side. Someone asked the number of times per week we should be posting. So I think I mentioned this, but again, it needs to be what's going to be consistent for you. But that sweet spot is typically 3 to 4 times a week if you want to see actual movement, you want to see growth. Um, Less than that is going to be fairly stagnant. So you may get the same amount of reach and engagement that you've been getting. So again, if maintenance mode is going to work for you, it's better than nothing. But that 3 to 4 is kind of the mark you want to hit. And time of day and days of week, again, during the day. So not when people are sleeping. Another reason I love Metricool for scheduling, I swear I don't get like money from them, but they are just that good. And on their calendar, when you go in to schedule your posts, it's on the planning tab. For the platforms that you are using, it has marks on the calendar. It'll be darker colored at the recommended time to post. So it literally does the work for you. It tracks your insights. It looks at, now you have to have some content in order for it to pull that information. But we use that all the time. So it's typically, I would say, 8 to 9 a.m., noon to 2, 6 p.m. Those are like the three ranges. And then again, Monday through Thursday is when we see the most. Because again, you're posting for business, and that's when people are kind of in business mode. So posting a plug for your business on the weekend isn't going to get the most attention. Now, if you have that light, fun content you can share, then that's not bad to post on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. But try to keep it light on the weekends. Um, Posts versus reels. So reels are still just getting better reach, better engagement. They have a longer shelf life, if you will, so they will circulate longer. They could go dead for a week and then pick up traction again. You have the opportunity to use trending audios, which is going to help it get farther. So to get the most bang for your buck, reels are, it is what it is. Reels are going to do that for you. But again, Instagram publicly said we want to kind of get back to our roots. We got away from photos, which is what the app was created based on. Like they wanted it to be a photo sharing app. So they are getting back to that. I would use carousel posts. Carousel posts on Instagram are more than one image, and it just so people have to swipe. And those get more reach than just one photo. One reason being, if someone scrolls past your carousel the first time they see it, they could come back a few hours later to their feed and it will be in their feed again on the second photo. And Instagram's like, oh, but you didn't swipe. So do you want to see this? And it's just another opportunity to get in front of people. So highly recommend that if you are going to do regular posts. And then touching on this again, the graphics. So the best use of graphics is if we can make them somehow engaging. So if we can make it so that you're asking people a question or trying to get their take on something or get them involved. Otherwise, they're just kind of blah right now. So if you're going to do graphics as a post, that's just my 2 cents is what kind of bold statement can you put on there to get people to actually pay attention to it? Just a stock image um, isn't doing it anymore. So keep that in mind. And then keywords, I talked about this, keywords in the meat of your caption and your hashtags as well. You don't have to force it, but if you're talking about that topic anyway, it should be pretty easy to get those keywords in there because people are using Instagram, Facebook, TikTok as a search engine these days. So make sure you're using keywords that will get you found. For instance, your Instagram handle and your Instagram name are searchable. So if either of those fields have something like Indianapolis, Indy Realtor, Indiana, any of those keywords that people would search looking for a realtor around here, then you're going to pop up in their search. Now, I think I tell the story a lot. So if you've been in any of my workshops, I'm sorry, but my business friend was looking for a bookkeeper and she searched on Instagram rather than going to Google. It's literally taking over as a search engine in some regards. So um, make sure you're taking advantage of those keywords. Okay, I think those were all the pre-workshop questions we had that I answered, but if anyone has any others, feel free to type in here. I see there's a dozen of you that want the outbound engagement information. So Grace, if you're okay with it, I'll just send you the PDF. And can we send that to all attendees? Is that possible?
Yeah, that works.
Because again, I don't even use my email list, so I really don't care if you guys are. I'll spare you. I'll spare you the sign up process. That is a goal for me in 2025 is get my own email marketing figured out. So any other questions? Or Grace, anything you want to add?
Nothing that I need to add, I don't think.
Okay, perfect. Kelly, I'll send that. I'm going to send that PDF that I have of just, again, it's how we break up 20 minutes spent on the app. Um, I'll just send that as a PDF to Grace and she'll send it to everyone who was here today. Sound good? All right. Well, if nobody else has any questions, we will wrap it up and be sure to look for the invite to next month's workshop. I can't even tell you the topic off the top of my head. I should have looked before we started, but we will send that out. Probably probably before the holidays. I should probably get that to you, Grace, so we can get that out because it's going to continue to be the second Wednesday of the month. So just keep that in mind. Thank you, guys.